Howdy, I'm Big Juicy, and we're headed west to go to Eastland to see what's hopping in this small Texas town. Eastland was named for William Mosby Eastland, a Texas war hero who participated in the Muir expedition. During this expedition, 176 Texans were taken prisoner by Santa Anna and his men. At one point, they were running out of supplies, food and water, and one of Santa Anna's commanders asked him, "What should we do with all these prisoners?" And he replied, "Kill them all." Well, through diplomatic action from the United States and Great Britain, they were able to convince Santa Anna to only kill 1 in 10 prisoners. In order to decide who lived and who died, he took a bunch of white beans and 17 black beans, and he put them in the hollowed out section of his wooden leg. He shook them up, and if you chose a white bean, you lived. If you chose a black bean, you died. William Mosby Eastland selected a black bean, and he was executed by firing squad. For this reason, Texans do not put beans in their chili to this day. Eastland was named the county seat, and the small stable town on the Texas plains began to grow. In the late 1800s, the courthouse burned to the ground, and plans were put in place to replace it with a stone building. As is traditional, a cornerstone was placed with a time capsule in it. As a joke, someone slipped a horned frog, or a horned toad, or a horny toad, whatever you would call it, on top of the goods that were in the time capsule, and the stone was sealed up. An oil boom in the roaring 20s caused Eastland to grow, and a bigger courthouse was needed. When the old courthouse was torn down, the cornerstone times capsule was opened up. The horned frog was laying on top, covered with dust. The judge picked it up by its hind leg, and his other leg started twitching. It was alive. For 31 years, the reptile had been in brumation. The townspeople gave him the name Old Rip, after Rip Van Winkle. The horned frog went on tour across the country. He went to Washington, D.C., where he got to meet President Calvin Coolidge. Reports say that the president rearranged his schedule to be able to meet the reptile. He held him in his hand, and he stroked him with the back of his horn-rimmed glasses. Then he took a moment to look him eye to eye for a good minute without saying a word. Silent Cal had met his match. After his meeting in Washington, D.C., he went on tour all over the world. While in Europe, he contracted pneumonia and died. Many people blame the socialistic healthcare system of the continent for his demise. His body was mummified and brought back to Eastland, Texas, and placed on display in this courthouse. You can see Old Rip today in a velvet-lined sarcophagus in the north side window of the courthouse in Eastland, Texas. Old Rip's memory lives on in the form of a Loony Toons cartoon character. In the cartoon One Froggy Evening, a frog is found in the cornerstone of a building that's being torn down. It wakes up and begins performing ragtime favorites like "Hello, My Baby." Initially, the frog was named Enrico, but changed his name to Michigan J. Frog. Steven Spielberg, who directed movie greats like 1941, The BFG, and The Terminal, said that One Froggy Evening was the Citizen Kane of cartoons. You may have noticed that Old Rip is missing a leg, just like Santa Anna. This happened when gubernatorial candidate John Connolly took a photo with the horned frog, picking him up by his hind leg, which then broke off. A year later, Governor Connolly would be riding in the presidential limousine, traveling through Dealey Plaza. He was seriously injured by what would be known in the Steven Spielberg movie JFK as the magic bullet. This is Big Juicy, and this has been Big Juicy Tidbit number 5. Please subscribe to my channel. Please leave some comments down below on what you'd like to see. And remember, some people make history and some people make up history. Until next time, keep it juicy.